I'm going with Jack Della Maddalena here. That's my early lean. I'm leaning towards Jack Della Maddalena.
But the problem I see in this matchup for JDM is Islam is an absolute savage on the.
Obviously, at 170 it's going to be an adjustment, but Islam's a big boy, and he's going to settle into the 170 weight class fine. JDM is a freaking terror, man. His hands, his ability to go head and body. It's a tough fight for anybody. I think JDM obviously winning the title, you know, the first title defense is kind of that litmus test for a guy. Does that belt being on your shoulder, around your waist, on your mantle, does it give you the type of confidence where you feel like you're invincible, or does it add a crazy amount of pressure where now you fight not to lose instead of fight to win? So I think that's my perspective on it. But I think Islam at 170 is going to be just as dominant as he was at 155. That's my personal take. He's a hard puzzle to solve, man. And he is a strangler, and he is a strong dude, and his hands are getting much, much better. So we've continued to see him improve over the years, and I think Islam wins it at 170.
But I believe in him, and I just bring that up to let you know that I'm very sincere when I tell you that I believe in him. Now, to my understanding, Jack and Volkanovski are teammates. To my understanding, Jack and Volk are in the room together. Volk used to train with Craig Jones, for example, my guy. Jack now trains with Craig Jones, just for example. So there's people that could give you a good sense of how does he feel? What was it like working out with him? Who was stronger? Who was faster? Who was craftier? Who's got the better hands? Who's got the better double leg takedown? Like, there's very good reason that Jack would have very good insight to Islam and where he stands.
It's up to Islam to really mix in the punches with the takedowns. I mean, that's going to be the key for him. If he can get JDM to raise his guard and then immediately shoot and get in on the hips, that is where his game is going to open up. Again, he doesn't need to take JDM and hold him down to win this fight. He just needs some sort of scramble to happen so he can try to go for submissions. And I think that's a very dangerous game you're playing with Islam.
I will say this. A welterweight Islam Makhachev could be a different animal. He drains himself to make 155 pounds. And at 170, he may be at his true potential. We may have never seen just how good Islam can be. And at 170, I think we have the chance for it. Now, making a damn early pick for this fight, making a pick in general, even after the tape study, is going to be warfare. But I have this feeling that Islam finds a way. I think Jack was impressive versus Belal, but I think the disparity in skill between Makhachev and Belal, if they were to fight, I think Islam would win that fight at 170.
They wanted a safe super fight. Instead, they got chaos in the making. The welterweight throne has a challenger from another kingdom, and nobody agrees on what happens when Islam Makhachev crashes Jack Della Maddalena's party at UFC 322. One side sees inevitability, the pound-for-pound king scaling up, dragging another champion into deep water. The other side hears leather landing and lights dimming. That tension is the oxygen of this matchup, and it's why the whole sport is buzzing without a single punch. The announcement lit the fuse. A champion versus champion clash, penciled for November 15th with storylines you don't have to invent. Islam rides a suffocating win streak and the aura of a technician who solved almost every puzzle at lightweight. Jack arrives unbeaten for years, fresh off breaking through against Belal Muhammad and carrying a belt that seemed destined for someone else until he snatched it. On paper, it's simple. Elite grappler meets ruthless boxer. In real life, styles don't collide in a straight line. They tangle, they stall, they explode in odd places, and the clock plays referee to bad decisions. Inside the camps, voices started throwing shade, respectfully, then not so subtly. Islam's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, all but stamped the result ahead of time, hinting Australia might end the year without a champion. He called Jack tough, nobody denies that, but insisted Islam owns the tools to undo him. That confidence isn't random, it's built on hours of tape study and the conviction that pressure plus chain wrestling, layered over crisp counters, tends to make brave men look ordinary. And yet, when the door shuts, Tools only matter if you can reach them before the other guy turns the handle. Jack's corner pushed back with receipts of their own. Head coach Ben Vickers didn't waste words. If Jack lands clean even once, Islam's night can get short fast. He emphasized Jack's engine, pointing to late fight surges and the way pressure that usually drowns others starts to drown itself against him. Vickers expects Islam to stay composed, avoid ego-driven striking tests, and grab onto anything that slows the rhythm. Cage ties, trips, grind. He's even joked you can hear Khabib in the corner urging more takedown attempts when patience turns into stubbornness. The subtext is simple: don't play long on the feet with a puncher who carries power from minute 1 to minute 25. But here's where it gets more interesting. Jack's not walking into this with guesswork. A full camp dedicated to Islam's tendencies. Long minutes with Craig Jones refining the details that make the difference. Hand fighting on the fence, hip heists, the timing of a whizzer versus a limp leg. Vickers frames it as an evolution, not a quick patch. The belt didn't complete Jack, it accelerated him. At 28, with only a handful of UFC fights, he's still adding layers, and confidence turns good reads into good decisions. You see it when he stops chasing heads and starts targeting ribs, when he accepts an escape instead of a hero punch. Information overlap could be a factor too. Chael Sonnen pointed to the JDM connection with Alexander Volkanovski and the shared Craig Jones brain trust.
Islam Makhachev. Makhachev was #1 ranked pound-for-pound fighter in the world in 23, 24, and 25. He cleaned out that division, and he has decided to take his 15-fight win streak and move up to attempt to become one of a few fighters in UFC history to win belts in 2 different divisions. Della Maddalena has won 18 fights in a row, just beat Bilal Muhammad for the welterweight title.
We know for a fact if Jack clips someone clean on the chin, they can go over. So it could happen in the first minute, it could happen in the 24th minute, it could happen in the 24-minute 59 seconds, it could happen 3 rounds in. Jack likes long fights, you know, he likes to be in there, but obviously we're not getting paid for overtime, so if the opportunity arises, we're happy to take it. But Jack's cardio, as we saw, Bilal's reputedly the best cardio in the UFC, and Jack out cardioed him. Bilal was more tired than Jack towards the end of the fight. So you know, Jack's cardio is exceptional, his power is exceptional, and yeah, I like the fight. I really do.
Islam Makhachev is a huge name, and JDM, although isn't the biggest name, I think people understand he is a real threat for Islam Makhachev. This is a really interesting matchup, and you know what? I'm going with Jack Della Maddalena here. That's my early list, where JDM has been taken down, and you know, he broke his arm against Gilbert Burns, and he got held down in moments, and even against Basil Hafez as well. The improvements that he showed in his takedown defense when going into that matchup against Bilal Muhammad, and in his ability to get back up from position, were massively improved. Like, it's insane to see the improvements he's made, and that comes from working with Craig Jones, which I truly believe is the answer to dealing with this Dagestani grappling style.
That kind of room talk matters. How Islam feels in tie-ups, which side he favors for the outside trip, how he reacts if you punch on the break. You can't copy someone else's fight, but you can download patterns, and patterns become traps when the speed kicks up. If Jack can anticipate where entries start, he can fill those lanes with uppercuts, knees, or just vanish on a sharp angle, and make Islam reset under fire. Public picks split fast. MMA Guru leaned toward Jack early, not out of hype, but out of visible improvement. Yes, there were fights where takedowns stuck longer than they should have. Arms got compromised, and positions looked dicey, but the tape since then shows urgency, faster frames under underhooks, better head positioning on the fence, more disciplined decisions to abandon flurries and circle instead of admiring punches. Working with Craig Jones isn't magic, it's repetition. Still, rumors suggest that style familiarity, those Dagestani rhythms, gets a little less mysterious when you've drilled the answers 1,000 times. On the other side, lightweight veterans and contenders kept circling the same point. A bigger Islam might be scarier. Dustin Poirier floated the idea that dropping the cut boosts his durability, pop, and pace at 170. Michael Chandler took it further, arguing Islam's blueprint scales, mix the strikes, force force the reactions, wrestle in layers, and that Jack's first defense arrives with a different weight on the shoulders. Pressure can turn champions into safety-first versions of themselves. It can also pull the best out of them. That's the coin flip inside the coin flip. Ground truth, though, is ugly. MMA Joey zeroed in on the chaos moments, scrambles where you almost stand, almost clear the hooks, almost turn to face, and warned that almost is where Islam clamps on the neck. That's been the nightmare image for every striker who thought they could sprint through pockets and reset. Bilal Muhammad, who felt Jack's pressure firsthand, added a practical note. Yes, it comes down to getting it to the mat, but the entry battle is a minefield. Standing, the size and timing questions tilt back and forth with every feint. One misread and the fight swings. Clips from training never tell the whole story, yet they whisper themes. Islam working inside trips, foot sweeps, and reshots suggests an emphasis on quick finishes to entries, rather than long, grindy holds that risk referee stand-ups. If he can get Jack to base wide, then redirect and run the pipe. One clean finish per round might be all he needs to bank minutes and force openings. Rumors claim he's filling out at welterweight with more pop on clinch breaks and more balance when he's forced backward. None of it guarantees control, it just hints at a sharper blade. So what breaks first? Posture or pace? For Islam, the keys are familiar but unforgiving. Jab his way into level changes, never shoot on naked air, and keep the finishing chain alive. Single to high crotch, cut across, climb to the back before the scramble even starts. If Jack posts, wrap the head and threaten enough to make him think about his neck when he should be thinking about his hips. If Jack circles, cut him off, don't chase, and make each reset cost energy. The goal isn't to hold forever, it's to make every second of resistance tax the lungs and the brain. For Jack, the margins are just as clear. First touch matters. Sting the body early so every clinch feels heavier later. Fight wrists before frames. Don't load up on the first clean look. Make Islam pay for the level change, then take the second shot when the head is on center. Exit on angles, not straight back, and punish the habit of covering high with hooks to the ribs. If Islam's entries start to hesitate, the pocket opens and the counter windows widen. One clean cross, one short uppercut under a lazy level change. Sometimes that's all it takes. The mental game is the quiet headline. Jack just found out what wearing gold feels like. Some fighters float, others get heavy. First offenses can turn into chess matches with your own thoughts. Islam's challenge is different, moving up without bringing expectations that stiffen your legs. He's built habits around dominance. At welterweight, he may have to accept ugly minutes and trust the long game. Either man is likely to break on effort. The question is who breaks on information, who misreads a tell, who doubles down on a read that the other guy already noticed. There's also the ripple effect. If Islam wins, he plants a flag on a second mountain, and the pound for pound debate becomes noise. If Jack holds, the division gets a hammer who just turned back a generational grappler, and challengers start recalculating. Side quests hover around the edges. Ilia Topuria's name gets tossed in every weight discussion these days, but even Jack's team has waved a caution flag about size and sanity. It's not disrespect, it's math. Some doors you check before you kick. No prediction here will satisfy everyone, and that's the point. The community is split because both roads are believable. You can picture Islam timing a lazy entry from Jack, chaining through the hips, smothering repeats until a neck appears. You can also picture Jack digging the body, making Islam think twice, and detonating a counter that turns the arena into white noise. Both visions are tidy. The fight won't be. Expect weird scrambles, tactical stubbornness, and momentum swings that feel like cliff ends you can't see until you're already leaning over. So if you're looking for a single sentence to carry into fight week, take this: the first successful adjustment wins. Not the first takedown, not the first jab, the first mid-fight shift that hurts the other man's belief. Maybe Islam abandons long rides for quick mat returns. Maybe Jack stops chasing the head and goes all in on rib roasting that bends the spine. When that moment hits, pay attention to their eyes. That's where the story always shows first. Until the cage door locks, all we have are educated guesses and the whispers from training rooms. Some say Islam's power at 170 will silence the debate. Others say Jack's timing will. The truth hides in the exchanges we can't choreograph. Champion versus champion sounds simple. This one isn't. It's a coin spinning in slow motion, and everyone is holding their breath, waiting to see which face it shows when it lands. Between supreme control and sudden impact, the margins are razor thin, and that's exactly why this collision has the whole game on edge.